Are you new to D&D? Or do you have an upcoming session with a new DM that's never done it before? Or are you planning on playing with an entirely new group altogether? If any of these are the case, then maybe now's a good time to think about what it is exactly a DM wants from their players. Well, lucky for you, my name's Brandon Moore and I'm a Forever DM, and I'm going to share a little bit of insight as to what it is I expect from my players and what exactly I think really makes a game run smoothly. So here are the top 5 things that I expect from my players, and if you're a player, stick around, watch the video, let me know your thoughts, and if you're a fellow DM, drop a comment down below. What do you expect from your players at your table? Let's get into it. So the number one thing I expect from my players is feedback. Now, of course, this could be mistaken for telling me the things that I did wrong, the things that I did right, but really what we're looking for is what you felt about the session, what you're feeling about the adventure. Now, a lot of times at the session, it's as simple as my players saying, hey, great job tonight, that was a lot of fun. To me, that lets me know that, hey, they had a lot of fun, they enjoyed what they did tonight, whatever it is I'm doing in the session is working. There are other times where they don't necessarily say, hey, I had a great time tonight, but they might say something like, oh man, I would really like to do some kind of combat next time. That's great because it's letting me know what the players want to do, and they're doing it in a way that isn't harsh. It's not trying to hurt my feelings. They're not saying, oh, I didn't enjoy what we did tonight, can we do something else? They're letting me know their interests, and I'm gonna use that feedback and I'm gonna put it into my adventure next time. So feedback is extremely important to a DM because they put a lot of work into this, and what they want to hear is what you think about the work that they're doing. So long as you're telling them that, it guides them in the time that they're putting in outside of the sessions, and it gives them a plan to follow to make sure you're having a good time, which in turn makes sure that they are having a good time. The number 2 thing I expect from my players is participation. I want to hear voices.
You have an accent.
No, not those silly voices or whatever kind of voices you expect from maybe some very famous voice actors on a particular stream.
Come to do business,
No, I want to hear your voice. I want you participating in the discussion. You don't have to be making up a voice. I just want to know that you're involved in whatever it is that's going on in the session. Now, of course, there are going to be times where your character isn't involved, and it's totally fine to not be a part of the conversations and to be playing it as if your player would. But if the only thing you want to do is be involved in combat and you don't want to be any part of the story, it gets hard for the DM to kind of control that scenario and to make sure that the story itself makes sense for everyone at the table. So even if you're not totally comfortable role-playing like everybody else is, maybe just speak up here and there and throw in your input to the scenario. What do you think you should do? What do you think that your player should do? It could be as simple as saying, my guy's gonna walk over here. By voicing that, you're showing the DM that you're involved and you're thinking about what it is your character would be doing in the game. So just because I'm asking for participation doesn't necessarily mean I'm asking you to be a part of every single part of every single session. Just be involved. The number 3 thing I expect from my players is note-taking. Now, of course, I don't expect every single player to be taking every single note about every single thing that I've said.
What notes?
You weren't taking notes?
But if your character is involved in something, and it seems to be particularly important to whatever it is he or she is doing, either in their backstory or in the campaign itself, take a quick note, make sure you're jotting down whatever it is that you'll need to remember later on. There's nothing worse than having to repeat the same thing over and over and over again throughout different sessions just because a simple note won't be taken down. Now, a lot of times there is one player that's taking almost all of the notes for the campaign.
Sheesh, do I have to do everything myself?
And this can be okay at times, but a lot of times that can get burdensome for that person, and they feel this weight on their shoulders where they get stuck writing down all the notes when no one else is really doing it. So rather than have that be a scenario that maybe the DM has to step in and say something or ask somebody to do something, just take a few notes here and there, make sure you really know what's going on in the story. There's no specific way that I expect my players to take notes. There's not a specific number of notes that I expect them to take. I just want players to know what's going on, so whatever they have to do to make sure that happens, that's what I expect. Before we get into the next thing I expect from my players, let's take a look at today's sponsor. Hi, I'm Brandon Moore. Every day, countless viewers pass by without liking my videos or subscribing to my channel, leaving this DM stranded in the sub 100 subscribers count. But you can change that. For simply one click of the button, you can increase my subscriber count by 1, and together we could maybe make that into the hundreds or even thousands. Be the change. Make the difference. Like my videos too. The The number 4 thing I expect from my players is an attempt to schedule the next session. I know all of my DMs can agree when we talk about how hard it is to get everyone to get together. I know even a lot of you players can get in on that. So all I expect from my players is an effort to get a schedule going. Now I understand we are all adults, we all live different lives, some of us have children, some of us don't, some of us have significant others, some of us have different hobbies. Of course it is hard to schedule these things, but there's nothing worse than trying to schedule something and there's 1 or 2 people that are actively not participating in the conversation trying to get something going. D&D is just a game, but when you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people actively trying to rearrange their schedules to make something happen, then all of a sudden canceling it or changing the schedule affects not only just the game, but it's affecting everyone's personal lives. So just make sure you're being a part of the conversation and voicing whether or not you can or can't make it to whatever the proposed schedule is, and try and work something out so that everyone can get something on the books and get that next session going. The number 5 thing I expect from my players is to have fun.
Really, just have fun.
Now I know this is a very overdone statement, but this one's actually a little bit more for the DM than the player. You see, we all know that D&D takes a long time. Sessions can be quite long. My sessions themselves, they tend to actually run more towards the 8 to 12 hours long. We plan a whole day out. And so no matter how good the story is, or the role-playing, or the battles are going, things are going to start to get bogged down here and there. And then you'll notice that players may start to get distracted, maybe they start to focus on something else here and there. And if you find that everyone's having a good time, then so be it. You see, ultimately everyone's gathered at the table right now to have fun. And instead of stressing over how exactly you're having fun, let these changes happen. Let these random times of silliness go on, because so long as you and your friends are all enjoying each other's company and laughing and having a great time, it's worth it. But that makes this number 5 a little bit of a mimic, because there's one other thing I want to throw into that, and that's reading the room. As you approach the cavern of near certain death, Glormdel turns to you and says, "This may be the only chance we have at securing the riches we've always dreamed of, the riches we deserve." "Yes, brother, but at what cost? Is it worth it?" "Yes, indeed, is it worth it. Let me work it. I'll put my hair down, flip it, and reverse it." If you as a player, you do something silly or something distracting and you look around and you see that every single person is laughing and having a great time, well then great, it was worth it. Even if it derailed the story a little bit, maybe changed the tone, that's fine, because we're all here to have a good time and have fun. But if you look around and you see that maybe 2 people that were involved in something are now waiting for the laughter to die down, or maybe somebody didn't think the joke was as funny, tone it back a little bit. Let everyone have that moment and let everyone do what it is they want to do. And if it's not necessarily enjoyable for you, talk about it and see if maybe there's a break that you can take or something that you can do temporarily just to get away from the mind-numbingness of the D&D session that you're currently in. I catch myself as a DM looking around sometimes when the story gets a little derailed just to ensure that everyone is having a good time, because I tend to focus heavily on the story and want to progress that story and forget that we're all just people sitting around a table, and not focusing on the story for a minute or 2 isn't necessarily something that we shouldn't do. So as long as I look around the room and I see that that's what everyone's having a good time doing, I let it go on. But luckily my players are really good about stepping in with each other and letting each other know, hey, let's get back on track, or hey, let's focus on what we were doing, and they do it in a positive and meaningful way rather than get on each other's back. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 things that I expect from my players. If there's something that sticks out that you think was a little too harsh, or maybe something you've never thought of before, let me know down below. If you're a fellow DM and you think that maybe I missed something, or if you fundamentally disagree with something I said, of course, let me know down below, because as I mentioned before, I am always looking for feedback. So I love to hear it, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. And thank you so much for watching this video once again. I can't wait to see you in the next one.